Hello, listeners. Our next guest is Charles Mattocks. He's an award-winning actor, director, producer, and television host. He's also a health advocate, producing docuseries such as The Diabetic You, which peels back the curtain on the good, the bad, and the ugly of the diabetes epidemic. What he's working on now is related to mental health, and that is what we're going to talk about in this interview. Thanks for joining us.
I wanna try and take in all the highs, embrace them for more than a moment's time. I want you, please don't move when I push you away. I know I contradict myself some days, but will you ride the lows with me?
Welcome to Mental Health News Radio. I am your host, Kristin Walker. Our goal is to help discussions about mental health be a regular part of your daily life, no different than discussions about physical health. Mental illness can be a topic of discussion under the umbrella of mental health, along with so many other topics. This show is the original program on mentalhealthnewsradionetwork.com. Our network of shows are played in over 180 countries and cover more topics under that umbrella than you can possibly imagine. We were talking about mental health long before it became cool and popular to talk about, and thank goodness it has become so popular. We have incredible guests, advocates, patients, experts, people. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy our intro music, a song named Lows, written by Aubrey Toon. You can find her music at www.aubreytoone.com.
That night when I started praying, I cried, will you ride the lows with me? Will you ride the lows with me? When I'm down, my vision gets blue.
Good morning, Charles. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Kristin.
So the listeners have heard a lot about you, and what's interesting, and I love, diabetes is near and dear to my heart because my partner of 30 some years has diabetes type 2, and it's been a battle, and it's something that runs in his family. And I know that food and changing your lifestyle can help make it not be something that you have anymore, but it doesn't get addressed often enough. So I love that you made an entire, I guess it's called docuseries about it.
Yeah, that's type 2 diabetes. That is called a lifestyle condition. And yeah, you're right. With proper diet, exercise, just lifestyle change, you can definitely control it fully, and at times even reverse it. So it's something that is doable.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that you struggle with today?
Yeah, I was diagnosed for, I guess, about 10 years now. And it was terrifying. It was, I had never knew much about diabetes, and to be kind of plunged into that world, overnight, when I thought I was fit and healthy and trim and going to the gym all the time and thought I was eating decently. But there's so many factors that go into, type 2 diabetes, everything from stress, lack of sleep, of course, diet, exercise. So it was one of those things where it was like totally unexpected, but I made the best of it. I think that, we have a choice in life when we face obstacles, that we either, run through them or allow them to consume us. So, or do nothing, right? And I think that I chose one of the courses that was totally changed my life and totally take this into accountability and allow me to use it to teach others and inspire others, and not be ashamed to talk about it, but to look at it, right in the face and fight it.
And that's a huge, I know because I lived with it. I'm trying to say it in a way that I don't miss things because I know it so well too, where people don't understand how serious this is. We're talking about same thing. My ex-husband, very fit, you know, done everything, you know, that he thought was the right way. And then, you know, it gets worse and worse and worse. And then, you know, people don't realize it's things like you lose feeling in your appendages. So your feet and your hands, that's one of the symptoms that you can have. So he ended up getting 3rd-degree burns just by sitting in front of a fire and not realizing that he was burning the bottoms of his feet.
Ooh, yeah.
And I mean, and it's just, you know, and we were sitting and chatting and, you know, not thinking anything of it. So and you can have things like, you know, you can lose limbs. People don't really take it seriously. So what I'm curious about is, you know, what it's like trying to push a do-gooder agenda.
Yep.
You're trying to do that. You're trying to do something good in the world. You're trying to educate people about something that isn't about sex, money. You know, it doesn't have quote unquote entertainment value, but boy, is it information that's needed. And you and I talked a little bit about, you know, a little bit of my experience in the beginning of the film world, way different now, but where you can get people in and you're trying to do something good, like talk about diabetes, and some director comes in and says, this isn't sexy enough. And you're like, excuse me? I get it that we want people to watch it. That's the point, but we don't want to turn it into a circus. So how have you dealt with that part of this that can be kind of unsavory?
You know what, to be honest, you know, the other day I was looking at some episodes because I had to send it to someone who needed it for an upload. And this series has everything. This is a dynamic series. I mean, honestly,
it is.
If this was on NBC or ABC, it would no doubt be one of the best shows on television. It has laughter, it has humor, it has pain, it has drama, it really does. I think that maybe because we're focusing on a condition, but it is so dynamic. I mean, we had, you know, on the season that just wrapped, we had a dating game thing that we did on there. We had, you know, trips that we took. We gave back. It really, to an orphanage, it really is an emotional ride. And when I created it, you know, I created this for people who are dealing with those conditions. And let's just say it's HIV. I'm just throwing out a condition. You know, there are millions of people in the United States living with HIV. So when we create this, if we only have a small percentage of those people who view the show, we still have a hit show, right? If we create a show based on cancer and there are millions of people living with cancer, we still have a hit show, even if it's a small percentage of people that tune in. So we created it, and I kind of go back to, you know, like I Love Lucy and things of that nature. You know, I wanted to create programming for people who just wanted to be able to sit down, watch a good program with their family and learn something and be entertained and go back to the basics. You know, when we didn't have all of this craziness out here with the Real Housewives of this and all this kind of stuff like that. And to be honest with you, it's like the world is in reset. And everybody is going back to, you know, there are tons of people like yourself and myself who are doing podcasts and StreamYards and this, that, and the other thing, and Zooms, and they are turning toward how can we heal each other, you know, with the world in this mess of COVID and mental health and things like that. People are tired of seeing the foolishness. They're tired of seeing rich people argue and rich people backstab each other and dysfunction. People need function now. So to be honest with you, I'm kind of glad some of this stuff has happened because all of that stuff kind of fell to the wayside. And shows like us are now looked at as, I have people all the time coming to me like, man, we need your type of content because it is uplifting, it's building, it's transformational, and it's a great tool to educate and inspire.
Yeah, it is. It is. And film opens up a whole new set of eyeballs and ears, which is fantastic. Mm-hmm. What led you toward going towards mental health, and tell our listeners a little bit about, you know, the new series that that you're in the midst of.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, the new series is, each time I finish a series, the first one obviously was on diabetes, the second was on cancer that just went off a few months ago, and now when I finish it, I always want to look at number one, what's a great topic, what's something that is going to be a game changer, but then also where do we get the support, right? Because we could have a great topic. I could think of autism, which would be a great topic, or sickle cell. But if there's no support as far as companies that would help me make this become a reality, or people that I could reach out to help fund this, then a great idea can just hang around forever. So we kind of looked at mental health as far as everything that's going on with it right now, being almost a pandemic in itself, and kind of just dived into that. And it's been an amazing, couple of months trying to put this together. I mean, the feedback has been unbelievable. We keep just meeting the right people, and still dealing with the funding stage of it.
As always.
As always. Yeah, I mean, well, you know what? I tell people, I said, even Steven Spielberg has to go and figure out where he's going to get money from.
Oh, absolutely.
He doesn't just walk in somewhere and there's a check waiting for him. He has to go and pitch a show and then hope that the studio can give him the money. And so, of course, he's on a different level, so they probably will give him the money. But, for independent people or people not as big as him, they have to go figure out where they're going to get the funds from.
It is a passion. It is a passion. You have to really want to do this and have this be the delivery method to go after that funding. Because boy, people don't realize, I mean, I get this all the time with interviewing authors and so on. I've had people just, all the money, don't listen to what they're saying. They're just trying to get rich off of their book. And it always makes me laugh. Are you serious?
Yeah, I haven't made a dime off my books. But,
exactly.
But you know what? I think that's, Kristin, that's part of this story, to be honest with you. It's not just me getting a show on television or what we do. Part of it is the story, because you could imagine I've got stories to tell. I mean, I had a call yesterday with a company that is, a big pharmaceutical company, a multi-billion dollar, one of the big boys. And, I'm thinking, okay, they're going to come on board and work with me. And now all of a sudden they want to switch their focus to COVID. And, it makes you think. It's like, whoa, what about all these other conditions that you guys, focus on? I mean, did you just now all of a sudden you have products for mental health, or were we going to just take away any funding that would go into mental health to bring advocacy and awareness? And then yesterday also, I noticed something. I was looking online and I saw some concert, some digital concert for some big artists or some artists, and I thought to myself, Kristin, we really have it twisted. Here this artist is, and then I saw another rapper who was going to be doing some online concert, and I thought, and of course it's always funded, right? It's always sponsored by some big company, and I thought, here we have companies who have no problem giving artists a ton of money to go and perform digitally, but when we have something based on something that is actually meaningful, we could barely get a dime for it.
I agree.
We want to give Rihanna $1 million to perform somewhere. Chase Bank will get behind that, or this pharmaceutical company will get behind that, or this. But yet we have to literally beg to get a few dollars, not even a few dollars.
Agreed.
So we have it twisted out here, and the system is totally broken.
I completely agree. That's what I mean by the unsavory part. I think part of it is the, this quest to be famous, just to be famous. Mm-hmm. That's certainly part of our culture. And since I know a lot of famous people that wish they were anything but, I know that that is not something I would ever wish upon myself or anybody else. But if you are going to go down that road, use that platform to help others.
Yeah.
But there is just so much, what, you know, we've said this many times on my show, but there's so much unhealthy narcissism when it comes to anything to do with film, anything, whether it's online or in a theater or wherever. So it's got an ugly side. And then it's, you know, and then you've got people like you that are doing really great things, and you know, getting that funding to do that work is difficult. And it's difficult right now too, because right now everything in Hollywood is kind of backlogged.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what
It's
we've,
out there though, because, you know,
it is.
unfortunately, you know, people still have to market and advertise. Things don't get shut down. They still
Yep.
have to sell a product. They
Yep.
still have to push a product. You know, these companies, big companies are making. You hear some of these big companies and big rich people are making more billions now than they did 8 months ago, right?
Right.
So there's still plenty of money out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So as you're, you know, as you're working through this piece with mental health, how do you look at that in terms of your own life? How does that play, taking your mental health seriously? How does that, you know, meander its way into your experience of daily life?
You know, it's interesting. And even within the last couple of weeks, a month or two, you know, there's been some revelation. You know, I do a show called Real Men, Real Talk. It's five guys who, from around the world, basically, who um, have a men's point of view on topics, but an emotional men's point of view. So we get really deep. I mean, these guys sometimes cry. We talk about, you know, things of you know, like let's say a relationship between our mother or our father, or sacred relationships, or you know, we really get deep. And in that, I have been transformed myself over the last, you know, couple of weeks here, as far as looking at my own you know, issues that I may have not dealt with, you know, that we all deal with, whether it's, you know, something that happened in our childhood that we didn't even really understand. So, you know, mine has been tested, and there's been some serious growth, and there's been some friendships and some relationships in many different ways of that I have had to look in the mirror and kind of say, whoa, you know, man, I need to readjust my thinking. So my mental health and you know, of course, is because of that has had to take a deep look in myself. Then, of course, you know, with all the COVID and loneliness and you know, taking care of three kids and you know, it sometimes it really can, you know, wear you out and wear you thin. And the other day I found myself about 2 weeks ago on a Friday at about 4 o'clock, lonely and felt alone. And it was like, wow, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. What am I going to do? And I literally was just totally blown away by how lonely I felt. And you know, there's not much we can do, right? I mean, you know, we could go take a walk or something like that, but you know, that's only going to kill about an hour. Then you got to come back home. You know, you're tired of watching Netflix and YouTube and things like that, and you realize that, you know, this distancing and not being able to travel or see people that you care about, it has totally really affected, you know, our day to day and our mental, you know, our mental situation. Yeah.
Everywhere on the planet. That's what's interesting. A lot of us that are in the field of mental health and that have, you know, been in and out of therapy for a variety of reasons, many of us have said that we felt not that you'd want to prepare for a pandemic, but the trauma that we've been through and the therapy that we've done and the work on ourselves really helped us be well prepared for something like this because of dealing with depression and so on. So if you're not someone who's been in and out of therapy and, you know, gone through that experience, you know, that loneliness piece can be really, you know, really challenging. We've thought, oh, there's a lot of people that are going to be sitting and thinking about stuff that they don't really want to think about. So tell me how, what is it? Is it the pandemic and everyone, mental health becoming such a, finally taken more and more, it's not even a, do you take it seriously? People have to, because it's what's happening. Was that what made you want to do this series? Like what was the impetus for picking that particular
Yeah,
topic?
not only, yeah, and I think part of it was based on even my mother. I did a documentary on her, but she's a strong Jamaican woman, and a few years back, she had mentioned something about wishing she wasn't here, and because of the pain that she's going through, and then looking at that and dealing with her emotional issues, and then my son has some, depression issues and so on and so forth. So it was kind of hitting home. And
Hmm.
then kind of, like I said, had to look at, even myself as far as some issues that I had that, stem from childhood that, kind of surfaced and kind of allowed me to grow and adapt and really change some behaviors that I had that I think I got from, either my mother or my father or both. So, and then once again, it was just this is truly a pandemic. When we think of, the hundreds of millions of people around the world who are dealing with some form of emotional issue, a mental health issue, from whether it be from, uh, you know, disease or conditions or lifestyle or just, the financial strains, the relationship strains. I think it was just, it was a perfect storm to look at and say, you know what, let's address this. And like I said, it has been such, it's been so welcomed, and everyone that I've talked to, from celebrities to organizations to companies, they see it, they get it. And because we have done such great work, our shows are really powerful and well produced shows. Once they see, the past, series, they fully understand and get that we are not compromising these conditions, that we are really making these series to be a loving tool that can transform lives. So I think that, that's part of what made me, look at this condition, and hopefully we'll have a few series on mental health. I'd love to do about 4 different, seasons on this and other conditions. But whatever condition we do, Kristen, it always has a big component of mental health in it, because, whether you're dealing with cancer, diabetes, sickle cell, HIV, the mental toll that it takes on someone to have to get up every morning and figure out how you stay alive is, how you pay your bills. How do you,
Right.
how do you perform for your loved one? How do you take care of your kids? I mean, it's something that we focus strongly on in every season, regardless.
Very true. And I want to make sure listeners, when we're saying mental health, obviously mental health isn't a condition. Mental illness is, and there are all types of mental illnesses. Mental health is just mental health, just
Yeah,
like physical health, very different from the term mental illness.
of course.
Um, so, give us an idea of what these shows are like. What's the, the storyboard, so to speak, behind the show?
Yeah, what we do is take, and how I came up with it, that to kind of give you the background. I was really, big into diabetes, and I had created an RV tour going out on the road, with a big pharma company and biopharma company, and I was doing TV every morning. We had this nice RV, but I thought, you know what, man, I'm not reaching the people. And I thought, well, even though we were reaching some people, we weren't reaching the masses. And I thought, well, what was the best way to do that? And I said, well, if I created a show that took all the modalities, if you had diabetes, then we would have a show that had a nutritionist, a dietitian, an endocrinologist, a diabetes educator, mentors, all of these things that allowed us to navigate through the system and get all of that information in one fall swoop. So I chose 5 people. We choose 5 people living with a condition, and it's various conditions. So when we did cancer, there's 5 people dealing with different forms of cancer. Could
Okay.
be breast cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer. Then we bring in the experts that treat those conditions. and we allow them to tell their stories. And basically, a lot of people, millions of people are dealing with, hundreds of millions of people are dealing with something, but we don't get a chance at time to understand what, Roger, whose son may be dealing, whose 20-year-old son may be dealing with a rare form of cancer. We don't get a chance to look into that life and understand what their day-to-day is like, what goes through their mind, what goes through their thoughts, how do they pay for this, what is the support system like, what is it like to understand it from a patient and also a provider standpoint. If they don't have insurance, how do they deal? So it's a deep dive into the lives, so we can understand what people are going through and see how they not only how they fight this, but how they champion this, how they have used this to help others or inspire others or come out of this victorious.
Right. Right, exactly. How to just manage it on the day to day. So
Yeah.
you take someone, let's say, who has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder as an example, and you kind of do a walkthrough of their experience of this in their life, and then get some psychiatrist or psychologist opinion on this. Is that kind of how the
Yeah.
show goes?
In many ways, I brought on Dr. Denise, and she is an amazing psychiatrist, therapist, who's going to be our lead doctor on the show. We've got Dr. Carl Shallahorn. Carl Shallahorn is going to be a part of it. We've got some other great surprise people who are going to be coming on board, some celebrities. But yeah, we bring in everything from nutrition that deals with mental health, as far as this episode, to therapists, psychology, house mentors, all the tools that they would need if they had to navigate through the system. And then of course they have other, peers that are going to be joining them, that they can kind of sit around this beautiful, per se, round table of life as we fly them into a beautiful location so they can kind of get their minds off of the day to day and kind of relax and just really share their stories. And there's a lot that goes on throughout that day. Obviously it's 5 people living in a house, but experts living in the house too as well, and what they go through every day is truly an amazing journey, and it ends up coming out, thank God, as something that we could all be proud of.
Well, I'm glad that that you've championed this. I've been blathering on and on about the importance of taking care of your mental health since I was 12. So I'm glad that our network can support you in this effort as well. It's not easy to film. It's not like you've got a broken leg or something like that you can visibly see. And boy, it's another reason it's hard to film is because one of the things that you become very good at as someone that struggles with depression or bipolar or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
you become a very good actor. You become very good at acting just fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
More than a person without that struggle.
And I would say this, obviously, your show focuses on this side of mental health, mental illness, and I ask those who are listening, this is a team effort. If you're into mental health, reach out to me, because this is an unselfish effort to truly bring to light the work that some of the amazing people who are in this condition are doing. And it's also a game changer that is needed. A lot of these conditions, Kristin, they will just fall through the wayside. There's not enough advocacy. There's not enough awareness. There's not enough information. There's not enough education. It seems like every company is popping up trying to do this type of wellness, this type of corporate wellness, do this type of app, this type of this. And it's all really to make money. I had a doctor say to me the other day, she said, "Charles, I don't even know where to send some of my patients or people that come to me, because there's not enough resources." But
Wow.
but
Tell her to call me.
Oh, well, I will.
We have
But
plenty of places to send people.
but there are hundreds of millions of dollars out here, and there's not enough PSAs, there's not enough billboards, there's not enough in mental health, there's not enough things that,
Mm,
especially people with disparities who don't have the finances to go and spend good money on a therapy. So
right.
there's a big gap. Especially in the minority community, there's a big hole where we don't even address these things or talk about
Absolutely.
it.
Done
And
many shows with some incredible um, therapists of color who say this, there's so much stigma.
yeah, yeah.
You do not talk about this. So yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, reach out to us because we'd love to work with you. We'd possibly even love to have you on the show. But just in general, I believe it takes a village, and to make change, sometimes it's better to come together and do things that are meaningful, because the world has changed, and I know we could all feel it. And I think the next thing we're waiting for is an alien to come and just land on the planet, and because it's really just
Murder hornets,
yeah,
pandemic. Yeah,
you know.
exactly. So, Charles, on that note, tell my listeners where they can find out more about you, which will tell them where to go to see what you're doing.
Definitely. My website is probably one of the best ones. I have two websites. The first one is charlesmattocks.com, CharlesMattocks.com. And the other one is the website for the show, which reversed with a D, REVERSED, your health.com. And you can find me on those. And I do want to say that while it has been a journey trying to figure out the funding, we always get it. We always get it. God has always blessed us, and we always find great partners that come
Right.
through. And once again, this is, if it was easy, everybody would be putting TV shows on television
Right.
and raising hundreds of thousands of dollars to go and shoot something. So this is nothing uncommon, but you would think that in a situation where we're providing such an amazing tool that companies would be jumping out their seats to say, hey, we want in. And it's not about the ROI. It's about saying, we just want to support this.
Yeah. It is hard. It's a lot about who you meet along the way. We have some inroads to places that other people go, how did you do that? And I tell them, look, I can't even answer that for you. Don't know. Did a show. The person liked me. They know somebody. It's really a lot of times it's about the good work that you put out there, and that speaks for itself in many ways. So
That's it. Well said. Well said.
well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me, Kristin. You're doing amazing work.
Thank you. And same to you. Listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mental Health News Radio. Hi, listeners. I'll make it quick. These are some really cool places that give discounts and other cool things for listeners of Mental Health News Radio Network. If you want to get amazing help with healing from narcissistic abuse, go to healfromanarcissist.com. If you want CBD products that are the best of the best, I use them myself, go to proze.com and use the code mentalhealth20, mentalhealth20. If you want to get daily perk ups that help retrain your brain to think more positively, go to perkupdaily.com. And also, just because this one's fun, snarkycandles.com. I guarantee you'll love them. Snarky with a Y, SNARKY candles.com. And don't forget, if you want to hear all the shows on the network about first responders, you can go to firstresponder.mentalhealthnetwork.com, and all of our shows that focus on narcissistic abuse, narcissisticabusehealingnetwork.com. Thanks for listening, and back to the show.
But will you ride the low, low, lows with me? Will you ride the low, low, lows with me?
one thing you can always count on at Mental Health News Radio Network and my show is that there will always be dogs around. Why? They are natural healers, excellent for your mental health. The original therapy dog Miles has something to say in just a moment. For now, please check out all of our amazing shows at mentalhealthnewsradionetwork.com and all your favorite podcast apps. Until next time, I'm Kristin and Walker, and thank you for listening.
And I can ride the low, low, lows with me. I can ride the low, low, lows with me. Till my vision clears up perfectly. I can ride the low, low, lows with me.
Good boy.